Hi everyone, welcome to today's informational webinar entitled Move Forward with Mobile Q&A. We're allowing just a few more minutes for others to arrive. We have well over 500 people on this webinar today, so we're just about ready to go. Most of our webinars we do shout outs to people who are attending. However, we're going to skip that today and save a bit of time. The format for today's session is going to be Q&A. With questions from our last webinar. We anticipated a lot of questions for that session, so we decided to answer them in this bonus webinar. In fact, we had so many questions that it would have been impossible to answer them during our first webinar. We collected those questions, reviewed them, and we're going to answer the most relevant questions to the topic of mobile web and Google mobile-friendly algorithm right now. So if you're ready, here we go. Our first question is from Bart, who asks, I'm a bit skeptical. How serious is Google with the new mobile-friendly algorithm? Bart, this new mobile algorithm is very important. Google announced in March this year they will continue to attempt to make the web search more friendly. So how serious is Google about making the websites mobile-friendly? Well, Google has a statement right here that says, if you haven't made your website mobile-friendly, you should. Google emphasized this point by placing their text in bold. And when Google makes a statement with this much significance, it is very important. Here's a chart that shows the results of the first Google mobile-friendly algorithm of April 2015, and we can see that a large number of non-mobile friendly sites dropped in the rankings. 46.6% of non-mobile friendly sites dropped in the rankings, while a few did go up, approximately 20%. This is actually a bit of a hint as to why Google came out with a new upgrade to the original program. Google has now put more stringent criteria into the Google mobile-friendly algorithm to locate all of the websites it missed in the first rollout. Our next question is from Jerry, who wants to know about an older website. My website was developed by a company specializing in my profession some time ago. I pay very little attention to it because all my clients come from referrals. Why should I think this is important to me? Well, Jerry, this is really a super question because it addresses the overall issue of where your website fits in with your business marketing. If your website is not important to you, it simply isn't, and I won't attempt to change your mind. The entire subject of online marketing, websites, social media, video, AdWords, and other paid advertising is really huge. And for some people, they just don't want to deal with it. I do think it's worth stepping back and looking at how people do find products and services within their community now. A really significant change in our society in the last 10 years is the fact that search engines have replaced the telephone book. Now, here's a question I have for everybody today. How often do you use a telephone book? Studies as far back as 2011 pronounced the printed yellow pages as completely dead, with only 30% of all phone books even being opened once during a year. So right now, the question would be to you, once again, is if you're not using the phone book, what are you using? Well, statistics for Google searches, on the other hand, are now so huge, it is almost difficult to comprehend. Google's search engine is now receiving over 100 billion searches per month. There are approximately 2.3 million searches per second on Google. And Google has indexed, in other words, they have recognized over 60 trillion web pages. Most people now consider Google to be the new phone book. So one more question here for everyone. How many times have you ever heard the phrase, I Googled it? Our next question comes from Antoinette, and she'd like to know, my site failed the Google mobile-friendly test, so now what should I do? Antoinette, there are two methods for ensuring that your website will pass the Google mobile test. The first one, and the simplest answer, is to just simply hire someone to design and develop a new website. I realize this may be a bit of a shock to some of you, but it shouldn't. A new website should be multi-device ready, so it looks good on all viewing devices. In the web development business, we call that type of a website a responsive website. The new techniques for building websites and new WordPress themes are all designed for this new multi-device internet, and they're all responsive, and they will all meet the Google mobile-friendly test. Right now, with many sites that are older, they don't pass the mobile-friendly test, and they don't look good on a desktop computer either. If your website is older than 4 years of age, it is most likely ready for a new format and rebuild. The next solution is to purchase a website specifically designed for passing the Google mobile-friendly test. We develop these types of websites for our clients, and the site designs have the built-in potential for making a big improvement in user experience. Remember, user experience is Google's primary goal, so the more people who come to your site and the longer they stay on your site, the more important your website looks to Google, the higher your rankings, the more traffic you get, so it just improves your internet situation all around. A bit more information here about mobile-only websites. There are 3 really excellent reasons to use a mobile-only website. A separate mobile site doesn't require rebuilding an entire website and going through that entire process. A mobile site costs less than creating an entirely new website, and that is certainly true. A mobile website that is Google-friendly will avoid any ranking penalty, or from another perspective, your site will maintain its current position or possibly go up, depending upon your competitors' websites and their mobile-friendly status. Here's a quick note. Our next webinar is going to be devoted to using the new mobile website solution with mobile-friendly websites. Shelley would like to know, what is Google Rankings? I'm new to all of this. I just thought that websites sort of showed up automatically. Well, Shelley, for you and lots of other people, the search engine listings are a real mystery. We use them all the time, but mostly we don't know why or what. So let's direct our attention to this a bit and make it a little bit more understandable. Search engine rankings are a listing of websites that are shown to an internet user following a search. This search is usually for a specific word or a specific phrase of interest. Google then returns web pages that its computer programming finds relevant for that term. The order in which web pages are listed are called the Google rankings. Continuing on with Google ranking, in the Google search, the pages that you view are arranged in this order. At the very top are Google ads, and these are paid advertisements. This is how Google makes money, lots of money. These get relatively few clicks, however, for most service businesses in particular. Next are Google map listings for local businesses, depending on the importance of the key term. Some terms do not have a map listing. People tend to pass these by because they simply don't know the meaning of these listings. They don't know why they're there. Third is the free or more traditional organic search listings that are based on the quality of web pages according to the Google algorithm. When I discuss search engine rankings, I am referring to the organic listings on the Google search engine because these are the most important listings for site visitors. Search engine rankings in organic search are not automatic, however. They are earned by showing Google that your site is authoritative, interesting, it's trusted, and follows all of the Google algorithm rules. Vic is here with us now, and he has a question about rankings. What is the real benefit of having a high-ranking website? Answer. The primary goal for any website is to generate income. When a website has a higher ranking in Google or any other search engine, it will get more site visitors. For every search term that Google is measuring, the number of clicks to a website are also measured. This is called a click-through rate. In the research data shown here, you can see that the number 1 ranking website for a given search term receives over 42% of all the clicks or search traffic for that term. This means that over 42% of the people looking for that term clicked on the number 1 organic ranking. As you look down the list, you can see the number 2 ranked listing receives almost 12%, while number 3 received approximately 8.5%. All the ranking sites on page 1 of the Google results combine for approximately 90% of all the clicks from people who are looking for that specific search term. The click rate goes down dramatically as rankings become lower. After page 5 in the listings, you can see that all the other websites receive less than 1% of the traffic. And this brings up an important question. No matter where your website is located on Google search, can you afford to lose rankings? A more positive way to approach this is, would you like to keep your current position or perhaps move up as other websites that are not mobile friendly move down? Here's a question from Kenny. He wants to know, I keep hearing about Google Mobilegeddon 2, meaning this new Google algorithm is a disaster of some kind. Is it? You know, Kenny, I've been avoiding this term Mobilegeddon because it implies all sorts of horrendous consequences, and I actually feel it's a bit over the top. After all, Google is all about business, and your website's all about business and marketing your business. So it really isn't much different from any other changes that occur for business people. Oftentimes they may be negative, but we have to learn how to deal with it and move forward. We do know that mobile search is definitely a major factor in internet marketing. The numbers here indicate that quite emphatically. In the USA, 94% of people with smartphones search for local information on their phones. If your business has a local or community focus, like attorneys, accountants, landscapers, dentists, chiropractors, real estate, and the list goes on, then you should pay particular attention to this statistic because this is how people are finding your business. Tanya has a question for us right now that I think is very interesting. I see people using their cell phones at work, in the malls, and in restaurants, but what about at home? Wouldn't someone be more likely to use their desktop computer in the evening or weekends? Answer to that, Tanya, is very interesting again because research is showing us that 77% of mobile searches occur at home or at work, places where desktop computers are likely to be present. This is quite meaningful because it means that your mobile website will most likely have more site visitors originating from many different locations from the same people. In other words, Tanya, someone like Mary might look for your website at work. She might look for it in a restaurant when she's having lunch. And then when she goes home, she might look at your website again. This provides us with multiple searches from the same people. Mobile sites are now receiving many repeat visitations, and this is a further indication that shoppers and people looking for local goods and services use their smartphone and not traditional computers. As smartphones and other devices continue to evolve, we're going to see even more activity. And our final question of the day is, what's next? And the answer is our next webinar. On our next webinar, we're going to discuss how to make certain your site is mobile friendly with solid solutions for this problem. We'll have several examples to show you, and we think this will be really informative. We'll have some recommendations then for making your website mobile friendly. In closing, I'd like to say thank you everybody for your questions, those of you who submitted questions to us earlier. I'd also like to thank everybody who attended today's session. We'll see you at our next webinar.